Will, a major pregame hotspot near ASU, missed the traditional Pac 12 foes, and a brewery has dozens of major awards. But does the owner really know which beer is most decorated? That's next on the Phoenix Magazine podcast. Welcome to the Phoenix Magazine podcast for the week of August 16. I'm Matt Johnson, Director of Digital Content, and on this episode, we have Julian Wright, founder and owner of Haus Brewery. We talked to him at the original Tempe location, where now all the brewing equipment is no longer. It's been moved, and we get into the reasons for that and what he's now planning to do with all that extra space in the place. It's not quite the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air empty living room meme, but it should be much, much more populated, bigger, and better. This episode is sponsored by Garrison Brothers Distillery. The high fashion takeover is coming soon from the great Garrison Brothers Distillery that makes all of its handcrafted award-winning bourbons on its ranch in High, Texas. Throughout the month of September, Garrison Brothers presents the high fashion takeover. Bars and restaurants are invited to create their own innovative old-fashioned recipes featuring Garrison Brothers bourbon. The Garrison Brothers Distillery is the first legal bourbon distillery outside of Kentucky and makes premium bourbons that are rich, bold, and sweet without the heat. It's served best however you like your bourbon, neat, over ice, or in a craft cocktail, like America's favorite cocktail, the Old Fashioned. For more information on the High Fashion Takeover, visit highfashioned.com. That's high with H-Y-E, highfashioned.com. Now here's the interview that we jump right into with Julian Wright at Haus. You're telling me how you didn't like IPAs, or you were kind of like hesitant to first brew an IPA?
Yeah,
you still kind of feel that way, or?
I mean, nothing personal against IPAs, but when we opened Haus in 2015, it was sort of like the hops arms race, and everyone was trying to out hop each other.
Yeah.
All you heard about in the craft beer world was about IPAs, and one being stronger than the next. And the reason we have Haus in our name, spelled Haus, is because I always set out to. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Set out to focus more on German styles.
Sure.
Or excuse me, I guess European in general.
Yeah, like true to style, right?
In fact, the first beer we brewed was our Belgian Wit Beer Blanche, which has actually won a couple back-to-back gold medals, partly because our brewer, well, the whole brewing team, but Doc, who sources the ingredients, he gets the yeast from a brewery in Belgium called Westmalle. He uses actual Moroccan orange peel versus any kind of syrups. So it's very authentic and delicious. But so getting back to 2015, personally, the style I like has always been German style lagers, especially here in Arizona where it's kind of toasty. And I was like, yeah, we'll let everyone else fight over the IPAs. We'll kind of be over here doing lagers and whatnot. And it's interesting because fast forward to 2023, and probably one of the hottest trends in at least the craft beer world is people doing lagers and lighter beers. So it's kind of cool it's come around, but I've always loved lagers.
I mean, I tell you, a summer like this, nothing better than a lager or light, like a Pilsner is what I'm having. That's what you're having, right?
Yeah, this is my go-to, our German style Pilsner, and it's delicious.
Arizona Craft Beer Award winning gold medalist for 2022. Are you guys coming back for more awards this year?
Yeah, we just got 3 recently. I'd have to look them up. I think it was at the North American Beer Awards. I forget which 3 they were, but I think a couple of them were beers we hadn't won in the past for. So that was pretty cool. And I think they're all lighter style beers.
Sure. Yeah, I had my notes here. You guys have, you have your tab on your website dedicated to awards.
Yeah.
Is that something that when you opened in 2015 that you kind of wanted to establish, or has that kind of evolved over the years?
Definitely not something we focused on, set out to, or even talked about, but I do remember literally the day we won our first award. I think Doc, our brewer, my partner, called me. I think I was on the boardwalk or beach or something in California, and he's like, we won a gold medal, and I think it was for Dortmunder, which is another killer German style beer.
Not one that pops up on a lot of menus here in Arizona,
No.
for sure.
In fact, I will say that I'll go on record as saying I still think that's my favorite beer that Doc's ever brewed. It's a full-bodied lager, so it has a lot of flavor. But I think people were just getting tripped up on the name Dortmunder, and it's not a style that people had ever heard of. So I think once we started brewing the Pilsner, which is still, very good classic German style beer, it just kind of eclipsed the sales of the Dortmunder. So it's now a perennial beer that we brew.
Yeah.
But I remember that day and just being like, so stoked and like blown away and proud. And yeah, so I wouldn't say we're definitely chasing any medals, but I think, based on Doc's ability and how long he's been brewing and the team that's now brewing the beers pretty consistently, it's not too big of a surprise that we win medals and get recognition because he's just a badass brewer.
I was going through your list, and you have beers that are multiple winners over the different competitions and everything. Do you know which is your most awarded beer?
I'm pretty sure it's our Day Drinker Light Lager.
Okay.
Not.
I had that as 7 awards along with the Beer Blanche, the wit beer, right? Is that?
Yeah. Blanche or white indicates wheat in a beer.
Okay.
So beer Blanche.
And then your Tripel had 6 awards on your website.
What was the beer Blanche? Was it 7 as well?
7, yeah. So you got a tie going right now.
Okay. So that's recently caught up. For a long time, there's always the Day Drinker. I always love telling people this story as a testament to how good our brewers are, is that I like to ask him, and I'll ask you the same question, although I've probably given away the answer. What do you think is the hardest beer to brew?
Well, I think I know that it's a lager, isn't it? Because of how much time there is and how precise you have to be.
Lots of different things,
right?
But whatever's the lightest beer.
Yeah.
So a light beer is the answer.
Light in ABV or light in
body.
Yeah.
Generally also means ABV, and the reason, as Doc likes to say, is like you can't hide much when you're wearing a Speedo, and you can't hide flaws when you're brewing a really light, delicately light-bodied beer. So any off flavors, anything weird going on, and you'll pick it up pretty easily. Versus an IPA where you can pile on the hops and kind of cover your tracks, so to speak.
I was just gonna say, there's a lot of criticism of IPAs like that, where it's anyone can do that because you can hide so much in it and mess it up, and that's kind of why you see IPAs dominate a lot of breweries now. But a true to style beer is a lot tougher to make.
Tough. Yeah, light beer is tough. That's why a lot of times, I don't know this for a fact, but my suspicion is a lot of startup breweries, especially if the brewer is not super experienced, they kind of shy away from those beers. It's really hard to stick the landing and make them clean and pure. So I think that's pretty cool that for a long time, light lager was our number one most awarded beer.
Yeah.
And it's also cool that the beer Blanche has caught up to it because, that's also pretty tricky. Not everyone wants to source actual Moroccan orange peels and import their yeast from Belgium, but it's also a beautiful beer. It's the first beer we ever brewed here. It's that Belgian wit. So it's still around after 8 years.
That's awesome. So yeah, you guys still going strong. 8 years now. You got 3 locations here in the Valley. We're at the we just jumped right into the interview, but I'll introduce you again. Julian Wright, founder of Pedal Haus Brewery. We're at the Tempe location, and we are talking all things Pedal Haus because a lot of exciting things going on here, right? And one of the big things is you guys are just at Best Fest, and I was talking to your marketing person there, pouring beers, and chatting with her a little bit, and she mentioned this housewarming party you have coming up. Tell me more about it. Because I'm looking around, sheets over here, just beyond this room we're sitting at. You got rid of all the brewing production, right?
We did. Yeah. So we've been running into capacity issues with the sized brew house that we had here in the restaurant in Tempe, and the amount of fermentation tanks, and just being able to keep up with the volume, especially after adding Phoenix. And Super Bowl kind of kicked our ass. And then, this next location opening this month is in the airport. And there was just no way, like a year ago, we knew there was just no way we were going to be able to keep up. So we started looking probably even more than a year ago to find a bigger production facility. which was difficult, but we did find like the near perfect one in Chandler. So we slowly started constructing it and preparing to move the brewery out of this location into that location. We actually sold most of our brew house and fermentation tanks to Arizona Wilderness. And then
for a while, like they're having a new location too, right?
I don't. Yeah, it might be for their new
maybe they're
location.
using it for that.
I'm
Yeah,
not 100% sure, to be honest with you. But so we went out and doubled the size. We bought one that was twice as big and brewed twice as much, and then added some bigger fermentation tanks in Chandler. So
people are drinking more beer. Is that more of your beer, right? Is that what you're saying?
I guess so. I mean, we're certainly selling a lot of it at our own locations, and we sell quite a bit of it to restaurants and bars around town.
Yep. Yeah, I'll always see it. Like I'm more of a Far East Valley. I'll see it at Beer Barn all the time. Mm-hmm. There's always a Pedal House. I think like Trevor's usually has something on tap. But no, go on. So this new production facility in Chandler
left this gaping hole in our interior here in Tempe, which we always knew we were going to convert to more dining. We do a lot of private events or corporate parties, birthday parties, what have you, and sometimes we don't have enough room for them, whether there's multiple ones going on at a time or they just need bigger space. So we designed what was the former brewing space in a new dining room and added a stage for live music, so we can have at least weekly bands play, probably during happy hour on a Friday.
Had that been part of this brewery before, like a space for live music or entertainment like that? Or
we've done bands before, but usually for like a special event, like anniversary party or St. Patty's Day or something like that.
Sure.
Never consistently, because we didn't really have a good place to put them.
Yeah.
Like we'd put them up in the beer garden, but it's like, where do you stop the interior house sound music playing in the band? Because it's hard to have them throughout the whole place, or you can't see them throughout the whole place.
Yeah, so you kind of encroach on areas where they weren't intended to be, right?
Yeah, it's so vast out on our patio.
Sure.
If you haven't been here, it's like a 6,000 square foot
great patio.
It's
yeah,
massive, and so they kind of get lost.
Yeah.
Whereas inside, where it's a little smaller, it's a perfect fact. Where the stage is where our grain room used to be. So they're in the corner facing the whole dining room. It's like perfect location. So we're very excited to see how that works out. But we remodeled the space. It's almost done. As every time we've remodeled this space, and for those of you that may have been here since the beginning, you know how many times we've remodeled this space. This is our 4th remodel, believe it or not. It's always just kind of cool to make the new area that we're remodeling feel a little different than the other areas, so they all have kind of their own personality. And one thing we did with this new space is we built this sort of peaked suspended rustic wood roof over that whole area and added some colorful bar stools and probably tripled the size of our merchandise area, which is where the couple fermentation tanks used to be.
I renovated my house last year. I don't want to ever go through that again. You're now on number 4.
Yeah, it's always a pain in the ass.
But I guess you don't have to live here during it, right? Yeah, it is cool. I'm excited to see what turns out. The production facility, does that mean are you guys going to get into like canning and bottling, or is it just for more beer and kegs?
We never intended to, although that's been a conversation coming up a lot lately. Sometimes we can't participate in things because it's can only. So we'd like to be able to participate in some of those things. Also, when we do smaller charity events or something, maybe it's a couple hundred people or 50 people. It's just a lot to drag, kegs and CO2 tanks and tap handles and all the stuff. It would be really nice to just tote along some cans and throw them on ice. So we'll see. Right now, it's pretty up in the air.
Yeah, with cans, you just need a hand truck, some of those cardboard cases and like a tub to throw them in, right?
Yeah, and rarely do you have issues with line pressure when you're dealing with cans, which is a huge benefit.
So you have these 3 locations, opening the one in the airport. Is that's coming up in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
What terminal?
4.
Okay, Terminal 4.
The new wing or whatever they call it. concourse, I guess it would be.
Sure.
I think it's mostly southwest. But what's kind of cool is, so we're in a food hall. So there's actually 5 restaurants, I believe. But Pedal House has this kind of center bar in the middle of it all.
Oh, nice.
And it has its own pizza oven, like a pretty legit pizza oven. So we'll be doing pretzels, pizzas, maybe a salad, and some breakfast, and have all the Pedal House beers there.
And then
in 2 weeks.
What is the status on Mesa? Because you guys have been looking at that area for a while, right? The downtown Mesa.
We've been paying rent over there for a minute.
I went by there a couple weeks ago. I was at Cider Core, and I noticed that at least the fencing around that area had your logos all over it, and like your banners or whatever on the fencing.
Yeah.
So
I think we're going to change the banner to "Coming at some point" instead of "Coming soon." No, we actually have just awarded a bid to a contractor who's actually the same one doing our remodel here, who's awesome. Part of the delay, actually most of the delay, was due to just astronomical costs coming out of COVID.
Right.
Or just even the availability of
supply chain stuff, for sure.
And equipment, and even the power transformer that we ordered is 11 months out. So it's not even going to be here for a year.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, yeah, hopefully we're going to start construction in January and be open in September-ish. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. It's a killer location, as you saw.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got a huge patio, just like here in Tempe. It's only slightly smaller, but the inside's only about 2,400 square feet. So it's pretty small inside.
It feels like the last, the last gem that downtown Mesa, if that was Thanos, it's like the last Infinity Stone that downtown Mesa needs is Pedal House to finally open on that corner, because it's kind of just this old, like an old car wash or tire shop.
Yeah, I don't know the full history of it, but it's got those cool floating kind of V awnings.
Yeah,
like as if it was a gas station back in the day. I know it was a auto repair shop most recently, but
yeah.
I'm sure there's some history of that building. I'm sure it's been around since the 50s, but yeah, it's rad. And we'll have it, like, I guess probably the biggest patio in downtown Mesa, and being on that hard visible corner is going to be cool too.
That'll be sweet. So downtown Mesa, they've kind of leaned in. I saw an article this week that they're leaning into like the neon signage on there. Is that kind of, are you guys thinking to like play along with that sort of thing, or is that kind of go against the Pedal House motif?
It's almost like reverse floating. The letters are propped up on top of that big awning, and they're exposed neon. And that was actually designed ages ago, but it'll be eye-popping. And I've heard since we designed that, to your point, I've heard that they're trying to really kind of improve their sign options and encourage people to be colorful and bright.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I think that, it's done wonders for Gilbert. I love the signage down there.
For sure. Same kind of thing. So one of the other things that when you first walk in here, you'll notice part of the renovation is that new mural out front.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. What's the backstory on you guys are really, really into supporting local Arizona State athletics, right?
Yep. I'm an ASU alum.
Same.
I got a very faded pitchfork tattoo to prove it. I just wanted to, every time we remodel, we kind of want to take that opportunity to improve other areas of the property. And that big gray wall out there is something I've been wanting to put a mural on forever. It never really had any kind of vision on what I wanted to do. I didn't want just a big pitchfork. That's just kind of like predictable.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at it, above the doorway that's on that wall, there's air vent, a pretty big one, probably like 30 inches by 24 inches. And I don't know, it just popped to me. It looked like the chest plate of a robot. So that's where the robot comes from on there. And then the guy that does a lot of my graphic design and I kind of came up with this sort of weird robot ASU theme in the desert. So that's what's out there. I think it's cool. It's very colorful. It's definitely speaks to ASU, but also is kind of creative and then incorporates that air vent into the robot chest. But we did that, and we're doing all kinds of little stuff as far as like sprucing up the place and sanding some tables and replacing some dead plants, and eventually going to seal the floors outside once the weather cools down.
So we're just a couple weeks away from the college football season starting. ASU, obviously, it's like just a walk down here. People kind of I imagine I have friends that come down here and will pregame and then go up to the game and come back here. Last year the ASU's in the Pac-12. Are you going to miss some of those fan bases? What are some of the experiences like with are there better fan bases than others?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely teams in the Pac-12 that travel really well. Like USC has always been pretty big. Obviously U of A when they're up here. But some of the Midwest teams, like we had Michigan State out here. I remember Georgia, going back a couple years. Obviously, those guys are crazy fanatics.
For sure.
Ohio State would always travel really well. But yeah, Pac-12, the one that really sticks out is definitely USC, which we have again this year. Who knows if we'll be playing them again? I don't know exactly how it all shakes out. But yeah, I'm gonna miss those rivalries. It's convenient to go to away games when they're generally along the West Coast.
Do you know anything about like the Big 12 teams that we're gonna add next summer that like are fans from Texas Tech, flocking to Tempe or?
Yeah, I'm thinking Texas Tech has been here before, but maybe it's for a Fiesta Bowl. Yeah, I don't know.
They were here a regular season, but I know Kansas came for basketball a couple years ago. Yeah. I'd have to familiarize myself with, I think, like an Oklahoma State, maybe.
I don't know. It hasn't totally sunk in.
Yeah. I was just curious as, you as a buzzman, what kind of impact do you think that might have if you lose West Coast rivals?
Yeah. But who knows? Could be good too.
Yeah.
Could be bringing new people to the Tempe that hadn't typically come here because their teams have never played here.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
New people have never experienced Mill Avenue before.
Gosh, this is kind of probably a stupid statement, but I feel like sometimes there's so much to do on the West Coast that people aren't as diehard, or they're transplants, right? So they haven't grown up with OSU or Texas as their team for multiple generations. So they may not travel as well to see their team, whereas I think some of those Big 12 teams probably travel pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a big
deal. They eat, sleep, and breathe, Kansas State basketball and football. And
I think that'd be cool, honestly. I mean, I'm going to miss the Pac-12 a lot. It's like still sinking in, as I mentioned, but everything evolves over time.
Yeah, I was just curious if you ever noticed that, a Ducks weekend is really important to us in the year, or obviously U of A, I think that'll still obviously stay because they're gonna stay in the same conference together with ASU.
Which was huge. That was smart that they kind of stuck together on that. That's a huge fun rivalry, and we're definitely kicking their ass this year.
Was there any kind of disappointment that the Coyotes didn't come to Tempe for you?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited about that. I think it would have been really good for the Coyotes organization to be more centrally located. I think it would open up a whole new fan base. Like for me, even having spent a lot of time in my younger years in Canada, just not a massive hockey fan, but I love the idea of going to a hockey game if it was convenient. Like I'm just not going to drive out to the west side to do it. So I don't know where they're going to land.
But they obviously they played down here last year. I don't know if that picked up business down here or if there's...
we would see some of it. I mean, obviously it was a much smaller arena than I think normal, but yeah, we totally get people coming in for the Coyotes games, and friends of mine that went loved it, especially if they're hockey fans. I mean, it's such an intimate arena, and I think they really enjoy it. I think a lot of the games sold out. So, yeah, I wasn't super stoked about the big entertainment district that was going to go around it. I like to see Tempe maintain a little bit more of its own identity as far as like as a sort of a downtown. But
because with that, why? Because that would have brought in like chain restaurants
like
and
chains to me.
Yeah,
it's just like so you're getting all the traffic and all the crap, and it's like, oh great, another Yard House, like whoop-de-doo.
Sure.
No offense, Yard House, but it just wasn't exciting to me. I'd rather see something that kind of only exists in Tempe, not just another Westgate here. You know?
Right. I think that's what a lot of us in the media get wrong about that sort of thing. Like it's going to create all these jobs, and they don't realize that what you're bringing with it is that it has no local feel to it when something like that pops up.
That's precisely why I wasn't really 100% sure how I felt about it for Tempe as a whole, not just for my businesses. Like, I went to ASU. I've been on the street for 32 years. Like a majority of my life has been spent in downtown Tempe, and I've obviously seen it change a ton. And I just sometimes worry that its identity is slipping through its fingers, and then you just pile on something like the Coyotes and the entertainment district, whatever they're calling it. It's just like, we're just death by a thousand cuts. And I
massive
really
hotels here. I'd never seen those before. Massive hotels.
Yeah, Tempe in the last, call it 5 years, but it's probably less.
Yeah,
it's exploded in growth to where, especially because I now live in downtown Phoenix, I have for 2 years. I'll come here and I'll be like, where the heck did that building come from?
Right.
I wasn't even here. I don't remember ever seeing
They're building them like Lego structures on Christmas,
Yeah. That I never noticed before. I think it's great to have the hotels. I mean, that's really, really good for business, because obviously when you're traveling, even if it's for business, you're kind of out and about, right? And so that those dollars often get spent here in downtown Tempe. So I'm okay with that. I would love to see, we're really going to get into it, some little more unique hotel products in addition to the bigger name brands, and maybe that's in the works too. But yeah, I just hope Tempe can kind of figure out a way to maintain some identity and some uniqueness as it grows.
Yeah, well, on that topic, that I know this is, Pedal House is, when you opened it, you're into the cycling community and all that. You want people to ride their bikes up here and everything. Have you checked out that new cul-de-sac Tempe?
Yeah, we know those folks. Yeah, we know them well. We've done events with them. We've done rides with them. I think it's freaking really innovative and visionary project.
We'll get right back to the interview at Pedal House, but first a quick word on one of my favorite bourbons, Garrison Brothers. The high fashion takeover is coming soon from the great Garrison Brothers distillery that makes all of its handcrafted award-winning bourbons on its ranch down in High, Texas. Throughout the month of September, Garrison Brothers presents the High Fashion Takeover. Now what's that? It's about bars and restaurants that are invited to create their own innovative take on the old-fashioned. But they have to use Garrison Brothers bourbon, and it's going to be fantastic when they do. That's because the Garrison Brothers distillery is the first legal bourbon distillery outside of Kentucky, and it makes its premium bourbons rich, bold, and sweet without the heat. It's served best however you like your bourbon, neat, over ice, or in a craft cocktail like America's favorite cocktail, the Old Fashioned. For more information on the High Fashion Takeover, visit highfashion.com. That's HYE. highfashion.com. Now back to more with Julian Wright at Pedal House.
Here comes round 2 of the brewskis. Thank you.
Delivering a couple more Pilsners. Thank you.
There you go, my man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll drink this one here. No wonder it's award winning.
It's pretty tasty, huh? Cul-de-sac. Yeah,
they just opened a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple days ago. They I don't know if they have people living there already. I imagine they do, but car free for anyone who hasn't heard about it. I think we wrote about it in our last issue of Phoenix Mag, that no cars. It's all a bunch of like courtyards, living, gym, and there's restaurants and markets and everything there that you would need, just no cars.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're doing the ride share friendly kind of approach to transportation.
Yep.
They're probably pretty close to a light rail stop. I think it's neat. I'm living downtown Phoenix, like I mentioned. I've met people that don't own a car, and at first you're like, "What? You don't own a car? How the heck do you make that work?" And
right.
You think about, well, shit, everything's delivered these days, and if you live in a walkable neighborhood or take transportation when you need to, it's doable. I think it's really cool. I like the name. I like the design. I like the people behind it. I'm sure it'll work, but I definitely got my fingers crossed for them.
Sure.
Hope to continue to do some. I mean, they're huge bike advocates as well. I know
Yeah.
They've lobbied hard. at least vocally, to get more bike paths in Tempe, and I support that. I was just in Canada where I spent half my youth, and even though I've known this, it was just more subconsciously. But that city was so well planned for biking, like decades and decades and decades
What
ago.
city is that?
Ottawa, Ontario.
Ottawa. Okay.
You can bike virtually everywhere you need to, including into the suburbs. Like my dad used to ride his bike, I think like 20 kilometers to work every day or thereabouts, or maybe it's 10. I forget the exact thing, but it was just so feasible. And, you know, you can go down along the canal for half of it. So it's cool to see Arizona starting to expand that. I guess the weird part is that you got more distracted drivers than ever. And it's like, that makes me a little nervous how those two are converging.
For sure. Yeah, as a bike rider, there's nothing worse than not getting that at least maybe that eye contact with the driver when you're going by, right?
I know. Everyone's seen it.
But the acknowledgement.
Worse than going, you know, you're going 75 on the highway and you look over and someone's texting. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
I noticed a couple when I walked in, they had their dog out here. Dog friendly place here, Pedal House. In fact, according to a story on AZ Central, you guys made the Yelp Top 100 for dog friendly restaurants in the U.S. Is that a new award to hang up on in the rafter?
I'll have to do a little research on that.
Yeah, just Google it. Just Google Pedal House. You'll come up with all kinds of. But no, the dog friendly. You were the only one in Tempe.
Really?
There was cool. 11 others here in Arizona that made the list.
Well, I think it was our first year open. We had a young gal who also was a waitress, but she was like helping us with marketing ideas, and she came up with Halloween, HOWL, and so we started doing these dog costume contests.
Right on.
And I can't say for sure if she thought of it. As far as I know, she did, and maybe people kind of simultaneously thought about it because it's kind of an obvious pun. But yeah, we've been doing that for years, and it's a riot. Like people really get into not only dressing up their dog, but they'll like dress up in a similar theme, whether it's the Lion King or whatever.
Yeah, it's the new couple costume.
Yeah.
You and your dog.
There's one girl and her dog that won it 2 years in a row, but she would like to paint the dog and like do the whole lion's mane and then dress herself up, and it was impressive how well she did. And we always do it for charity, so we'll partner with some kind of local dog charity.
Right on.
We do it here in Tempe, and we do it in Chandler, and we're doing it again this year on whatever this Sunday is, 2 days before Halloween. I think 30th, I guess that would mean. Or
yeah, so we have
maybe?
I can think about that. We have the Arizona Craft Beer Awards this year, or the festival's the 21st.
Yeah, Sunday the 29th.
So Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, Halloween's on a Tuesday. You would do it the weekend before.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So
and then you guys are doing.
Come on down. There's good prizes.
I guess I can admit I do dress my dog up, but it's fun.
Why not?
Yeah, he just puts on a shark fin and well, obviously before that, another big event, Oktoberfest. That's a big. You guys do a big here or down? Is it all in Chandler?
We will do one at every location.
Okay,
but the big one is now in Chandler. I guess what was it? A couple years ago? I don't remember if it was I guess it was 2021. We did an extension right outside the one in Chandler, the Pedal House in Chandler, and we sold out. It's packed. It was super duper fun. We have all kinds of silly games, like we do the Steinhold and the broad eating, and now we've added the wiener toss, where you try to catch a hot dog in your mouth, which is extremely entertaining. But Santan used to do an Oktoberfest party as well, and they took a couple years off, I think, due to COVID. I think they're also trying to figure out how to tweak it to make it more manageable and less expensive. But anyways, we decided to just work with them, collaborate. So that little
you got a great little thing, like
Park, I think it's
a handshake deal with them down there.
Yeah, it's 50,
great partners.
50,
yeah,
we share in the workload, we share in the costs, and we share in the profits. We direct traffic a little more on Oktoberfest, and they direct traffic a little more on the Barbecue Fest.
Yep.
So that kind of works out. But yeah, it's fun. So it's coming up September whatever the
I
last
think
day
it's
is,
September 30th. Yeah,
and
October 1st. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Friday, or is that Saturday, Sunday? I think I would know this. Saturday, Sunday, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe do what the first is.
Yeah,
it's October 1st is Sunday or
yeah,
Saturday?
I can backtrack. Let's see. I think it was September 20th.
Pretty sure it's Saturday.
Anyways,
Sunday.
we'll
It's
update
Saturday,
that in the
Sunday.
show
Anyways,
notes.
you can Google it.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think tickets are already available. You get a discount if you buy them ahead of time.
I'm pretty sure I wrote this down in my notes somewhere. I just wrote end of September.
It's yeah.
I think it's
the
September
last
30th.
day of September and the first day of
You're not going to do it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, right?
93.4% sure it's on Saturday, Sunday
For
versus
sure.
Friday, Saturday. The only reason I'm getting a little confused is Barbecue Fest is Friday, Saturday, but no, I'm pretty sure it's Saturday, Sunday.
Right on.
Yeah, all the same shenanigans as last year. Santan's bringing out a bunch of beer. We're bringing out a bunch of beer. We always make a killer Oktoberfest beer. And then, of course, we got the German style Pilsner, the light lager, the beer blanche.
All those classic
Classics.
German style, true to style,
Yeah.
things you would expect at Oktoberfest
Yeah, man. Throw
celebration.
in your pea-soaked lederhosen and come on out. We'll have the same.
That's a built-in costume contest right there.
Yeah.
You know?
So I've been rocking lederhosen for years, not only for the Pedal House Oktoberfest parties, but I've been to the mothership in Munich. But this year I'm actually going with some customized overalls for my lederhosen. So
all right, we're gonna have to get out there, and we're gonna have to send our photographer out there.
Partly because it's a little toasty, even
For
at
sure.
the end of September. And the ones I've currently been rocking are like the 3/4 length, so it gets a little hot. But yeah, we'll be bouncing wieners off people's foreheads and doing the sausage eating competition, the Steinhold
cool.
competition. They're literally super entertaining. Like if you've never been to one, even if you don't like beer, I mean, Santan's bringing out a ton of their like canned cocktails and the booze, and I think there's probably margaritas and stuff. It's just super fun. Bands all day.
That's it sounds more like the Arizona, spin on Oktoberfest to do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I wish it was a little cooler, but hey, listen, I don't think a little heat stops us Arizonans.
It never does. No. It never does.
It's a good party, guaranteed. You'll see some video floating around on probably our social media or maybe the Oktoberfest website. But it's fun. I love it. It's my favorite party of the year. And obviously with Pedal House in our name, it's kind of like our Super Bowl.
Yeah. As long as you have that, then people are going to associate that name with an awesome party, an awesome Oktoberfest. So
yeah, it's killer.
We'll check that out.
Hope
and
to
then
see you out there.
We want people to check out the housewarming party. It is Friday, August 25th. I got that right.
Yep. So yeah, I think we got off track a little bit, but so that whole space is now more dining, great for private parties. Got the stage for live music, and the dust will be settled. The flags will be hung. The bands will be tuning up and ready to rock on Friday, October 25th. I think we're getting close to sold out, but there's probably maybe 10 left. There's a VIP package, which is kind of a good deal. For $50 plus tax and tip, it's like includes drinks and food and the area closest to the stage, so you have a guaranteed seat. I'm sure it's available through social media, website, Eventbrite, whatever.
Yep.
But you can also just go online and get a ticket for free, and then you get your first beer for $1.
Yeah, you have beer specials.
So if you want to come
have
here, 6
raffle
hours
prizes.
of live music, not only for free, but your first beer for $1. So you're saving whatever, $5 or $6. Just go on to find that Eventbrite, go on our social media, and just get yourself an Eventbrite ticket. When you come, then you get a card or something to get the $1 beer. So it's gonna be super fun, and we're pretty excited to see people's reaction to this completely new space that used to be a bunch of steel.
It is cool. It is cool showing off a remodel job there. You ever, now that the production's gone, do you ever miss seeing Doc around the brewery?
Yeah, I miss the dudes, and I know they miss being here because it's a little more of a social environment.
Yeah.
And brewing out of a warehouse. But yeah, I do miss seeing the guys. For sure.
Brewery guys are the best. We love them. We love talking to them. So
I've never met a dick in the brewing industry.
No, right? It's fun. They're making beer all day. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
So that's it for me, Julian. This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matthew.
And remember, speaking of craft beer, we have the second annual Arizona Craft Beer Awards and Festival coming up in October. The festival is Saturday, October 21st in Glendale on the Great Lawn of State Farm Stadium. Make sure you get all the information by following our ACBA Fest account on Instagram and Arizona Craft Beer Awards and Festival on Facebook. We have all the information, everything craft beer here in Arizona there, and you can learn more about getting your tickets. Come out and join us at the next big Phoenix Magazine event, the Arizona Craft Beer Awards Festival. Well, thanks to Julian Wright and the great folks over there at Pedal Haus. Look for more information on the events we talked about in the show notes and on phoenixmag.com. Next week on the podcast, we are starting our conversations with the Great 48 alumni. For our longtime readers of Phoenix Magazine, you know our annual Great 48 list of fabulous Phoenicians who represent all areas such as business, media, the arts, politics, medicine, and so much more. First up, we're chatting with Tony Say, creator of the local Buzz app and one of our Great 48 honorees in 2022. This year's nominations are underway, and we'll have that feature in the November-December issue of Phoenix. Remember to look for the Phoenix Magazine podcast on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. God willing, we will see you here next week.